Hello and welcome. This is the second video on the series on publishing. This video is in two parts. Be sure to watch the two parts to gain an understanding about publishing research articles in the print media. As an OBGYN specialist, you may have a desire to publish. What are your options in terms of the kind of journals or the kind of articles that can be published in print form or on the internet? What are the challenges, the difficulties, and the requirements? So as a medical doctor, there are several ways that you can publish your work in journals. Here are some of the common types. We first talk about original research. This is the most admired, appreciated, prized, and respected type of publication that a doctor can hope to have in their professional lifetime. These articles are based on original research and publishing findings in peer-reviewed medical journals, and it is one of the primary ways to contribute to medical literature. These articles typically follow the IMRAD structure, which means introduction, methods, results, and discussion. Another favorite and important type of publication are reports of clinical trials. If you have conducted a clinical trial, then publishing the trial results in a peer-reviewed journal is essential for disseminating findings to the medical community. The trials will include phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 trials, observational trials, studies, and other types of clinical research. Other ways to publish are to write review articles. Review articles provide a comprehensive summary of existing research on a particular topic. These can be a narrative review, a systematic review, or meta-analysis. These types of articles are useful for synthesizing current knowledge and identifying gaps in research. A case report describes a unique or a rare case that contribute to the understanding of a particular disease, condition, or treatment approach. They are valuable for sharing clinical experiences and potentially identifying new trends or phenomenon. Other publications include editorials and commentaries. These offer an expert opinion on perspectives on recent research findings. These are usually written by very senior consultants and professors. Letters to the editors can be written by anyone, and these are concise responses to previously published an article. If this letter is published, then it provides a valuable insight or perspective of a medical doctor on the subject. Guidelines and consensus statements. These contribute to the development of clinical guidelines or consensus, and these statements allow us to shape our clinical practice and policy. Educational material is a very favorite type of publication by physicians, especially those who are working in teaching in institutions. And by creating educational content such as tutorials, case-based discussions, or procedural guides, they provide immense value for medical education. Book reviews are critiques, and they recommend recently published medical textbooks or reference books. Apart from the printed media, which is present in the form of paper journals, doctors can also subscribe and create online platforms and blogs to provide opportunities to share medical insights or experiences. What do we mean by original research? Original research aims to contribute new knowledge to the academic or scientific community. This can involve uncovering previously unknown phenomenon, testing new hypotheses, or proposing innovative solutions to existing problems. An example of this would be a publication by an American team on the effect of intensive therapy on the microvascular complications of type 1 diabetes mellitus, or using chronotherapy for hypertension. So these are relatively new topics which have been published as a form of original research. It involves typically independent inquiry by researchers who design and conduct their own experiments, their surveys, or their analysis. The researchers are responsible for developing the research questions, designing the study, collecting and analyzing data, and drawing conclusions based on their findings. Original research is usually published in peer-reviewed journals. These journals have a rigorous review process in which experts in the field evaluate the research for its quality and its significance before publication. It makes scientific contributions, significant contributions to a field, often receives citations from other researchers and recognition within the academic community. The citation count and the impact factor of the journal in which the research is published are common measures of the influence and the significance of the original research. Moving on to clinical trials. These are carefully designed research studies that follow predefined protocols or plans. In fact, clinical trials have to submit their protocol before starting the trial, and this ensures that the researchers will be very ethical, and they will stay close to their original plan in their entire study conduct. These protocols will outline the objectives of the study, the eligibility criteria for the participants, the interventions being tested, the methods of data collection and analysis, and other details necessary for the conduct of the study. So phases of the clinical trial serve a very specific purpose. So for example, drug trials have a specific phase methodology, and clinical trials also have phased methodology in which there is usually a pilot followed by and the actual study, or a feasibility somewhere in the middle. Clinical trials will often employ randomization and control measures to minimize bias and to ensure the validity of the results. The participation in a clinical trial is voluntary, and participants must provide informed consent after receiving detailed information about the study's purpose, procedures, potential risks and benefits, and their rights as participants. Clinical trials are subject to strict ethical guidelines and regulations to ensure protection of the participants' rights, safety, and well-being. Institutional review boards or ethics committee review and approve the study protocols before any research activities can commence. If you're doing a clinical trial within your institution, it may be all right to go through the institutional review board. However, if you're doing a clinical trial as an international project or on a relatively newer topic, then it has to involve the National Review Board and the National Ethics Committee. The results of the trials are typically reported in scientific journals or presented at conferences to inform health professionals and the public. There is a lot of methodological rigor, and this applies to the ethical considerations as well as to patient recruitment. Patient recruitment may often be challenging, especially if it's a rare disease that we are looking into, or the disease is present only in a small population, or if the study has very stringent eligibility criteria. Pregnancy is a very stringent eligibility criteria for most clinical trials, and it is the onus on the author or on the researcher to prove that intervention is not going to harm the fetus or the mother. Other challenges of publishing in clinical trials is the funding and the resources, because these trials require substantial funding to support the study. Data management and analysis is also very critical, because a huge amount of data may be available, and it has to be managed, analyzed, and interpreted accurately to derive meaningful conclusions. Authors may face challenges in publishing clinical trials with negative or inconclusive results, leading to underrepresentation of certain interventions or outcomes in the medical literature. Clinical trials also has to go through a very strict peer review process, and this may result in delay in publications. So addressing these challenges requires collaboration amongst researchers, funders, regulators, publishers, and other stakeholders to support methodologically robust studies. In conclusion, authors have a wide variety of options for publishing research articles. The type of article chosen has its own description, challenges for the author, advantages, disadvantages, and its value as a research document. In this video, we have briefly touched on two types of publications with very high academic merit and effort. In subsequent videos, we will be talking more about options for publishing which may be in the reach of clinically trained and working doctors wanting to contribute to the research literature. Thank you for hearing this video and looking at the video. If you like the video, then please subscribe, press the like button, share, comment, and tap the bell icon to be notified of future videos. Thank you and goodbye.